Hey, it seems you want to play Dungeons and Dragons, but you don't know anything about the classes. Well, it's easy, you just need to read everything about the 12 classes and choose one. Oh, shit, yeah, 13, that's a hidden one. I'm going to explain to you, in a nice and easy way, everything about the 13 classes. This is just 1/3 of character creation. You also need to choose a species. I got a video talking about the 40 ones. And also choose a background. I will have a video about backgrounds in the future, so be sure to check my channel later. Disclaimer that I've divided the classes in 3 types. Martial characters, characters that tend to use weapons and don't use spells. Half casters that get half of the spell progression as a full caster, but a series of goodies that are able to make a compromise for not having full spellcasting. And full spellcasters, casters that get up to 9 level spell slots. And spells are the main way of interacting with the world inside and outside combat. And I will put the ranking of their difficulty at the end. Fighters like to attack, and attacks like crazy. They attack a lot and are very good at it. They get action surge, so they can add more attacks to their attacks. Basically, action surge is like a second action, so they're great for a lot of burst damage in one turn. Aside of that, they also get every weapon and every armor in the game. So they are a jack of all trades, master of everything in martial combat. Do you want to use a longbow and be an archer? Yeah, for sure. Do you want to wield 2 scimitars? Yeah, of course. Do you want to try the classic sword and board? Amazing. And hell, it's even viable to use your fist to kill a dragon. Anything, it's possible with a fighter. They also get weapon masteries, which are a series of special effects that you can add to your weapons. Outside of action surge and outside of a little bit of healing, they don't get too many other features. So what they get, it's basically feats. Feats are either ability score improvements to improve your stats, or different tiny abilities that makes your fighting even more lethal. So fighter is customizable but easy at the same way. It's a perfect choice for new players to learn the game. Barbarians are the scary naked weirdos in the world of D&D. They can hit a lot and tank a lot. And that's it. With their main feature rage, they get resistances to the most common damage types in the game, and also a little bit of damage. Outside of that, they are so strong, and as they can carry martial equipment, they will do a lot of damage with heavy weapons. Also, they can use their strength for a lot of other things outside of combat. With rage and strength, they can use it to stealth around, they can use it to find food and ingredients, or hell, they can even use it to intimidate a guy. Barbarians are great for hitting hard and tanking even harder. So, very simple, but at the same time perfect for newbies. Rogues are sneaky ninjas that use light weapons as they come from the shadows to strike enemies with a sneak attack. Sneak attack, their main feature, lets them do a lot of extra damage, equal to a number of d6s. For triggering a sneak attack, your rogue will need to have advantage in some way. Advantage basically means that you roll 2 dice for attack. Or you will need to have an ally nearby an enemy. So either by sneaking around in the shadows, or restraining your enemies in some way, or maybe by teamwork. Sneak attack is a key feature of the rogue, because you only have 1 attack. So with a sneak attack, you won't do any damage at all. But it can be very strong if you perform it every turn. You will also get the possibility of triggering a little bit less of sneak attack damage, but on the other side, being able to put some status effect on the enemies. Maybe poisoning them, maybe trip over them and make them fall prone. There's a lot of possibilities. You can also sneak, run away or dash with just the bonus action, so you get a lot of mobility. And outside of that, you are also one of the classes with more skills. And not only skills, you can even become an expert in some of these skills. Rogues are amazing for the sneak attack, but also for all of the skills that they get for outside of combat. A utility focused class with a lot of damage also, but you will be very squishy, so be careful. Nonetheless, an easy class to learn and master. Monks got their powers basically from anime and wuxia movies, and they get a lot of goodies, like the ability to deflect attacks or the ability to fall slowly. They tend to hit with their unarmed strikes. They will start doing it with 1d6, and the damage will be scaling every level. They get something called focus points that they can use for a lot of cool stuff, like for example, flurry of blows to throw a lot of hits at an enemy. They can move away very swiftly. This is a small part of why monks are so cool. They need to go naked, so Instead of armor, they get their armor class, dexterity and wisdom, everything together. Aside of that, they will be able to, for example, have stunning strikes, to be able to strike vital points in your opponent and make the stand for a little bit of time. Monks are a class that do a lot of damage, a lot of hits, but also very squishy, and they don't have the stealth abilities of the rogue. So you need to be careful whenever you are positioning yourself in the battlefield. Nonetheless, for all of the strange abilities, they're a little bit harder to use than other classes, but very fun, and I'm sure that you will remember if you have a monk character. They're one of the most unique classes. Rangers are a class with an identity crisis. They got the master capabilities of the fighter and the spells of the druid. Hunters and trackers of beasts, they are amazing at tracking their prey, either with longbows or with scimitars. They also get weapon masteries and half of the spells and spell slots of the druid. Their bread and butter spell is Hunter's Mark, a spell that is able to cast a bit more damage to their enemies with your weapons. You also get extra attack, so both of those things together make very good damage. But ranger spells do a lot more. You can entangle your enemies, you can speak with animals, you can heal minor wounds. Like rogues, they will also be able to be experts in a few skills, but not in the same quantity, but it's also something handy. A ranger will live or die by the synergies between the weapons and the spells. That makes them a difficult class to play, at least in my experience, and to be able to bring them fully to life. So be careful if you want to go for a ranger as a new player, but they're very fun still. Recommended. If ranger, it's a mix between the fighter and the druid. Paladin, it's a mix of the martial abilities of a fighter and the spells and support of a cleric. Paladins use strength or dexterity for their weapons and charisma for their spells. They got Legion hands that let them heal themselves or their allies nearby. And they also can carry a lot of weapons and armor, so they should be good to go in magic capabilities. But the main thing that differentiates them from the fighter are their spells. They got spells for buffing your allies, healing, hell, even getting a stick. But the most iconic spell they have is Divine Smite and their variants. Divine Smite, they can burn a spell slot to be able to do extra damage with their weapon. Smites are always amazing to use, very simple to do damage with them, and they feel amazing for new players. Outside of that, you will also get Aura of Protection, one of the best abilities in the game, as you will be able to have an aura that protects everyone around you from saving throws or malicious status effects. But Paladin, it's a very special class, as with your subclasses you will have an oath. An oath will have a series of tenets that you need to adhere to. Don't lie, don't steal, there's a lot of possibilities. But if you perform these bad actions, you will be punished. Maybe you'll lose your subclass or your class, depending on your DM. So be careful with the way you roleplay. Paladin is very strong, but because of that, you know, with a great power
comes great responsibility.
You can't go wrong with a Paladin, either for damaging, tanking, being a charismatic leader, or hell, even buffing your allies and protecting them. One of the most damaging classes of the game, and one that I recommend still for beginners that want to get a little bit of everything. Really, it's a shame that Wizards of the Coast has forgotten about them. They're so cool. Artificer, it's a class that appeared in Tasha, and they are able to use their intelligence to create artifacts and magical items that help them in combat. They are half-casters that use their intelligence to create all sorts of cool things. You get all sorts of cool spells, like Fairy Fire, Visibility, Aid, the list goes on. And you will also be able to not only use those spells, but also get magical items. And hell, even with some subclasses, like the Armorer or the Battlesmith, you will be able to use your intelligence for attacks, and you will get proficiency with martial weapons or equipment. Aside of that, the main feature is that you will be able to create your own magical item to empower you in combat. A returning weapon, an Iron Man suit, and a homunculus that does your bidding. Artificers, empowered by their subclasses, their equipment, and the spells, are basically a jack of all trades, master of none, as they will be able to perform a lot of roles in the party, but never will be better at a class specialized in it. A good artificer will need to mix their items, their spells, and their class to do good combos together. It is very important so that everything synergizes. For that, I will say that it is a very difficult class to play, and you will need a lot of game knowledge to be able to play it properly. So, difficult for beginners. But hell, if you enjoy it, it has a lot of flavor, so go for it. Finally, we go to Spellcasters. Spellcasters are a very weird bunch, as they're very versatile. All of the spells tend to go for different niches. But all of them need to follow the rules of spellcasting, so be sure that you are able to outcast your spells, with their material components or a focus. Look, it sounds like this. Oh, look! I summoned the subscribe button, so you know what to do. Wizards are some of the few spellcasters that actually work hard for their powers. All of the time expended studying the weed, all of the gold used for spellbooks, everything. Used for the Sorcerer to be able to cast level 1 spells when they're born. Wizard is the class that gets more spells in the game. Basically, they get 2 new spells every level up. They get some of the strongest spells ever, like Fireball. Although, that's everything you really need. But aside of Fireball, you also get Polymorph, Find Familiar, Counterspell, Glove Invulnerability, Wish, and the list goes on and on and on. You can also transcribe other spells and spellbooks into your own to have even more spells. You will be able to have a determined number of spells prepared every day, but you can change them either in a short rest or a long rest. So, you will always have the spell that you need for every moment. You're basically a Swiss Army knife of spells. Swiss Army knife was most like a tank. Wizards are the strongest and more versatile spellcasters, but they are squishy, so squishy. Small breeze will kill you completely, so be very careful when you're playing one, because you can die in a few hits. Positioning is key, and there are so many spells that I will say that it's a difficult class for beginners to play. Sorcerers are at the same time very similar and very different to wizards. You get a very close spell list, but you don't get as many spells. But if you don't got so many spells, it's because you get meta magic. You will get 1 spell per level, and with meta magic, you will be able to change them for new things and powerful effects. Cast a spell faster. Don't make any sound while you cast a spell. Be able to give disadvantage to enemies so they won't be able to save. And the list goes on and on and on. You will be able to change all of your spells in so many ways that opens a lot of versatility. They are very similar, but it seems you won't need to study like a nerd. Your great-great-grandfather seems to marry a thing from the deeds, and now you are able to cast spells using your charisma. Lucky! And even if you don't got so many spells, you will still be a menace casting them, because you will get an innate transformation that will let you basically have better accuracy with your spells. And also, you got the least amount of hit points together with the wizard. It's very easy for you to die, so be careful. Mixing the right spells with the meta magic, it's a little bit tricky, so I will say that this is also one of the more advanced classes. Again, it's a charisma character, so used for the persuasion you're going to have fun either way. Bards are spellcasters that use their charisma to create beautiful songs, to change reality, and seduce a dragon. Their spells are more focused on disabling enemies, buffing allies, and out of combat utility, but they still get up to 9 level spells, so they're still very powerful spellcasters. Also, they get a number of Bardic Inspiration dice that scale with their level. Bardic Inspiration, it's a way to improve the rolls of the rest of the group, so you will make everyone a bit stronger with Bardic Inspiration. They are also amazing at skills, getting expertise like the rogues, although in less skills. But they get Jack of all trades, so even if they are not proficient in a skill, they will be able to get a little bit of bonus. So basically, they are good at everything. And that is paired with the ability at level 10 and beyond to get magical secrets. Basically, you will be able to get a spell from the Wizard, the Cleric or the Druid spell list for every new level. So from level 10 and beyond, you will have 4 spell lists, making you the most versatile character ever. Bards' main problem is that they don't tend to be good at doing damage, but at the moment that you get to level 10 and beyond, you're set. Now, Bards are still more difficult than the Martial due to all of the choices with all of the bonuses and the goodies that they get. Bardic Inspiration, Jack of all trades, all of the spell list. You cannot go wrong with a bard. It's so front-loaded that everyone will be able to have blast with it and understand how a bard is played little by little. So this one I would recommend it to beginners if they like what they see and they will be up to learn how to cast spells. Yep, there are 3 spellcasters in this game that use charisma. What are the odds? Nonetheless, Warlocks are a very unique type of spellcasters. They are occultists that have some sort of connection with a patron or entity that gives them their magical powers. But what will the magical entity want in exchange for their powers? Well, that's the fun part. You are the one that will decide that. Together with your DM, you will decide your backstory, why your character has those powers and what he wants in return. Your relationship with your patron. It's one of the biggest things that a Warlock needs to decide. It's a class that, just like Sorcerer or Paladin, at the start gives you a lot of roleplay opportunities and possibilities, and for that is awesome. It's so much fun. Maybe you exchange your soul with a pit fiend. Maybe a hack got a loved one and you're trying to rescue him. Maybe you're a good guy working with the Celestials. Or maybe you're tapping to an unknown energy that comes from the far realms. The opportunities and the chances for an amazing story are exciting. It's true that you will have 2 or maybe even 3 spell slots for your adventuring day, but you recharge them with a short rest. So don't worry, take a small nap and you will be ready to go again. Warlocks also rely on Eldritch Invocation, basically special powers and features that your patron gives you. Maybe it's the ability to wield martial weapons using your charisma. Maybe you are able to see in non-magical and magical darkness. Maybe you go into a frozen tomb whenever you're about to die. Or maybe you empower your cantrips with the magic of your patron, making them even deadlier. Hell, they got invocation to smile like a paladin. That's the coolest thing ever. Cantrips are also very important for Warlocks, because well, they ain't got a lot of spells. You can choose any cantrip that you want, but recommendation. A unique cantrip for Warlocks and the best cantrip in the game, it's Eldritch Blast. So go and pick it. It is a safe bet. Hell, it's so simple to use Eldritch Blast and the spell Hex. It's basically like Hunter's Mark. You do a little bit more damage with your spells and attacks. Both of those things work so well together. It's an easy build, simple and fun. With cantrip-based characters or martial characters, Warlocks are very simple for beginners. I think it's medium because the entry level is low, but the ceiling it's very, very high. Druids are hippies that take nature communion a little bit too far. They study the land, the animals, the stars, the sea, everything to have this bond with nature. So they are able to cast nature-related spells using their wisdom modifier. Spells are very good for healing allies, disabling enemies, and controlling the battlefield. Take into account that their spells tend to have concentration, so be prepared to only have one spell, maybe for the entire combat. They also got wild shapes, the ability to transform into different tiny animals, to spy, scout, or accomplish different objectives. As you gain the wild shape, you will get an AC that is improved by your wisdom, and also a lot more temporary hit points. So they can be very sturdy if you build for a moon druid. They have also medium armor, shields, and martial weapons, so hell, the possibility of playing a melee-focused druid, it's not impossible. To heal, support your allies, create earthquakes, or eat your enemies while in wild shape, you can't go wrong with druid. But for all of the powerful spells that are very complicated, and the wild shape mechanics that require you to see the animals you want to transform, I will say that this is also a class for experts or more advanced players. But again, wild shaping is so much fun that you can go to town with it. Cleric, the last class of the list, and the last wisdom casters. By how powerful they are, they look more like gods rather than clerics. As a cleric, you got a god that gives you your divine powers. Basically, you can choose a lot of gods from the lore of your region. If you're playing with the Forgotten Realms, there's a lot of very cool and crazy gods, so you can go wild with your cleric. And basically, you will gain spellcasting. But the spellcasting of clerics is very particular. The Cleric spell list is full of powerful spells, not only to buff your allies and heal them, which is typical for a Cleric, but also for damage. The spells that a Cleric can get are bonkers, they're so good. You can inflict a lot of damage in melee with inflict wounds. You will be able to make an aura around yourself that does damage and slows every enemy, protecting your allies nearby with Spirit Guardians. Summon angels and celestial creatures to help you in combat. Summon powerful weapons with your bonus action that will be able to smack your enemies. On top of that, you also get Channel Divinity, a special feature depending on your domain, your subclass, that will let you do all sorts of things, like making more radiant damage, make the undead around you flee away, summon illusions and copies, do extra attacks. It's great and versatile depending on your subclass. At level 10 you also get Divine Intervention, which basically gives you a free level 5 or lower spell without material components, which is great for small miracles like Resurrections. Hell, even your armor is better than the rest of the casters. Armors, heals, and there are options for even martial weapons. So like Druid, playing a martial Cleric that goes fully with full blade, it's a possibility and it's really strong. And also the new domains are so strong. There is no wrong choice with the Cleric. Well, there's only one, only focusing on healing. Healing obviously is an important part of the game, and if it's part of your character's fantasy, it's amazing, but please, you have so many cool things. Try to utilize all of your tools. For me, Clerics will be the only spellcaster that will get an easy, as they are simple to use and so much fun. So, for a recap, this is the difficulty ranking of all of the classes. Again, the right class for you is the class that you want to play and the one that looks more fun to you. If you put a little bit more effort and try to learn more about the game, you will be able to be an amazing player and have an amazing and badass character. The easy classes are classes that, based on my experience, I know that beginners will enjoy a lot and they will be able to be efficient right from the start. The medium difficulty classes require a little bit more thought, but you still got strong and easy ways to play the game. And the expert classes require more knowledge about the game in order to be played efficiently. But still, you can have fun, enjoy them, put a little bit more thought and effort into learning them, and still have a badass character. Put in the comment below your opinions about which classes are the easiest ones and which classes are the hardest ones to play.